Okay, guys, so Keon here, and I am back from September, uh, which ended up being a very, very weird month to say the least. Um, Most of the time, I kind of go to work and then I go home and I do my own research and stuff, and I sleep for 4 hours a night, and then I go back to work. Um, in September, we had to do a bunch of stuff for a potential client, which ended up kind of being a huge waste of time, and there was lots and lots of finger pointing to be had. But um, I guess at least for now that's over with. So I can get back to doing important things, which is shit posting on the internet. Um, so um, so with respect to Shenmue's animations, most of the time it's been spent doing this step one to step two thing here, which is interpreting the original data. So the game has motion data, which is the binary. I wrote binary 00 ichi or 001. Sorry for my weeb slipping out. But 0101 or whatever, honestly not going to look at it binary, but you're going to look at it in terms of hexadecimal. But I was just lazy. I just threw in some binary mumbo jumbo in here. So you have the original motion file and here, and then you need to interpret that and get it into a format that's easier to read, and generally a format that's easier to read is JSON. So you have a certain bone, you have a certain value, you have certain keyframes, each keyframe has a value, and I guess in this case each keyframe can potentially have a slope left or right, which I guess is used in Bezier curves and stuff like that. I'm honestly I'm gonna be pretty honest, I'm kind of a noob. I've never used Bezier curves before, so I'm guessing that's you have a like for a keyframe you have like a left and right slope thing or whatever. I guess it's like the pen tool. When you have a pen tool at a point, it kind of changes how the slope like increases or decreases. Or I don't know if it's over here or something like that. So I don't know exactly how you interpret the slopes. I'm kind of tempted to just kind of take out those bit flags and have the game interpret the key values as linear values, and so that we can just have straight lines here, and then that way we can go move on to the next step, which is the input table and then the output table. So once originally we have the binary, we need to interpret and read the binary. So once we're able to interpret and read the binary, we have a JSON structure or something else like that. From there, we actually need to get each value for each keyframe for each bone. And that's what I was thinking about making a dope sheet for, was be able to kind of debug that visually. So you have a bone, you have a sequence of keyframes, and then for each keyframe you've got or for each bone for certain keyframes you've got certain values of certain keyframes which define them, and then you have slopes which define how to interpolate them interpolate the in between values. And so the idea would be to kind of to chop this up into a table, to have bone 0 xy bone 0 position, xy0 bone 0 rotation, xyz bone 1 rotation, xy0 whatever, for whatever keyframe values are defined for each bone, and then just have frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, frame 5, frame 6, all the way up until the last frame. So you have a table of absolutely every keyframe for every bone, for every axis, for every value, and that would be your input values, because that's what the game is going to put into the um, inverse kinematics function. And then from there, you would need to figure out what comes out of the inverse kinematics function. So anything that's going to be FK is just going to carry over directly. So any rotations are just rotations, bump, 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 bump. You throw them over there. But then in terms of feet, arms, and I guess maybe the chest might also be IK. You've got 4 or 5. Goes left foot, right foot, left arm, right arm, and then potentially the chest target if it is a target, if it's FK, we don't know exactly. But the idea is that you would just throw all those anything that goes straight through, you go straight through, and then from there is the painful part of being meticulous and really breaking down what the game is doing. So in this case, I think the easy thing to be would be kind of open up the debug screen for Shenmue, and then be able to find where the inverse kinematics resolve or look up or calculate function is, and then try to just enter one thing at a time. So everything else except the foot would be disabled. And so with the foot input for a certain keyframe, if your keyframes are linear, you can be able to track. You can either put in the same keyframe over and over, or you can put in one keyframe or the other, and stuff like that. And so you try to remove everything else. So you only have Shenmue. You have the test. Uh, test level, so no NPCs are running, and then you have all of Shenmue's, or all Ryo, I'm sorry, you have all Ryo's animations turned off except for the foot, and then the foot you would be able to look on to the output of say, okay, well, for when the foot is at these positions, you have maybe 3 positions. For position 1, the game calculated this at the knee, this at the thigh. For position 2, the game calculated this at the knee, this at the thigh. For position 3, the game calculated this at the knee, this at the thigh. And the idea is you would just need to get a couple of data sets like that to be able to, because again, we have, if we're able to look at the function, that means yes, we can replicate the function. But to make sure that we're replicating the function correctly, the idea is that it would be nice to have a couple of key values to say, when you put in this for the foot, here's the knee, here's the rotation for the knee and the thigh. And when you have this for the rotation of the foot, you have this for the knee and the thigh. And you just kind of have a couple of those test results, test values, so when you go through and replicate the function outside of the game, that you can say, okay, well, if I put this into the function, this comes out, we have that correct. If we put this into the function, this comes out, we have that correct. And then once you have a few of those values, you just kind of go ahead and complete the table on your own for the rest of the values. And then once you're out here, you've got, and you have all of the keyframe values, you have 2 options. You can just, once you have this, and if you have all the rotations for each bone for each keyframe, it basically just becomes an FK animation. So you can just take the resulting table and then just say, and because the resulting table will only be the solved rotations. So you have the solved rotations for all the keyframes, for all the bones, for all the for all the frames. Then that just becomes an FK animation. You save that, and you replay it over and over again. The alternative is, if you really wanted to get fancy, that if you have the solve function and you can go back and look at the solve function, that you could replicate that in Engine if you really wanted to. So that's kind of where we're at. So there's kind of 2 things. There's the Bezier curve implementation, which I think again, I'll just skip over that. That's like the last icing on the cake of making that look nice. Right now, just kind of be kind of lazy, so linear functions. And then the other thing is testing the game for animations and testing the game for certain values to try to find the result and output for animations, and making that. I think in terms of actually replicating the actual game, I think and with 3JS, I was able to get some IK working with the built-in stuff. The built-in stuff, I don't think it's going to cover it, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the IK stuff, go back to just rotations, and then from there we can kind of look into see how we can replicate the solver if we want to do it with IK in 3JS, which I don't think so. I think I might just want to solve ahead and just play the FK function. It's kind of what I'm looking at now. But I think I might have been too, for working on something like this. I would really love to just sit down for like 8 or 10 hours a day, just be able to quit my day job and just focus on this, and just be able to relax and do stuff like this. I think that's just that's me kind of being a diva or something too much, or just kind of me expecting too much. So I'm gonna try to see what I can do with 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and just kind of get back into it, and maybe make more videos, or just kind of um, take more notes or something like this, and just whenever I have a little bit of time, kind of switch back and focus on this. So that's kind of it for me right now. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna kind of get 3JS reoriented. I'm going to maybe potentially build a table for the input table based on linear values, and then from there, I guess I'll talk with Lemon Haze in terms of finding the code for the IK solver, and then thinking about ways and approaches for putting in specific values or tracking in specific values, and then tracking the output of specific values. So I think that's where we're at right now. And yeah, that's about it. Sorry for this rambly video. Again, September was a shitty shitty month. Um, we'll see. I'm kind of throwing out job. Um, uh, what is it? Searching for jobs, looking for jobs. I've got a couple interviews this week, so we'll see. We'll see if the job situation improves or not. But I guess either or whatever. The important things in life are shit posting and shit posting. So like I said, that's it for this video. If you're still listening, you're a cool person. Thank you for listening to my rambling. I don't know why you want to, but anyways, thank you very much, and I guess I'll see you in the next video.